management training for HEIs. We would like to welcome the participants from all over the Philippines who are in this webinar this morning. We are live via YouTube, Zoom, and Facebook. So if you cannot log on to today at Zoom, you can actually watch the live streaming on YouTube. So yesterday we had Professor Patrick Flores, who gave us a very evocative talk on curating exhibitions. So if we recall the 3 E's that I mentioned as takeaway lessons from yesterday, they are the ethos of curating, which refers to the skills of the curator, the ecology of the spaces, that means how you will activate the objects and your spaces as not dead objects, but they are actually uh, to bring our illicit stories, no, that for the audience. And the last one is for engaging, no? Engagement with the audience, the environment, the community, and even the museum architecture, and a lot of things. So one of the mantras perhaps is to complexify your exhibitions later on. So this morning we have two wonderful women who will give a talk on the use of digital and interactive media for your museum exhibitions. We have with us Miss Charisse Aquino Tugade and Miss Everett Miranda. We had her in level 1 who also talk about the same topic on how to use interactive media in museum exhibitions. Okay, so we will start with Miss Charisse Tugade. She is a sustainable tourism practitioner. She's a curator, an empowerment specialist, and a heritage advocate. She founded the Culture Space, the Manila Collectible Corporation, a museum gift shop and heritage tour workshop provider that focuses on Philippine prehistory and indigenous culture. As the main mover for Culture Aid, this is a nonprofit organization that aims to sustain the practice and reliance of Philippine cultural heritage. She works to create an environment that empowers indigenous communities and local artisans to continuously preserve and develop their intangible and tangible heritage. Currently, she's also the director and curator of Museo ng Muntinlupa. This is a premier city museum in southern Metro Manila. She's also the newly appointed executive director of the National Book Development Board, or NBDB. She also studied visual anthropology and marketing at San Francisco State University. Okay, without further ado, we'd like to welcome Charisse this morning. Hi, Charisse.
Hello, good morning, Doc
Good morning.
Ian, and good morning to all our friends from around the country. Okay, so I will go ahead and start.
Yeah.
Let me
Okay.
share my screen really quickly, and you know it does take some time. There you have my background. Okay, all right. So today I will be talking about exhibition development. And the title of this is really What's the Big Idea and Thoughtful Exhibition Development. And I will use the Museo ng Muntinlupa as a case study to kind of look on how we have, how our process works and how my process works. So again, my name is Charisse Aquino Tugade. Okay, so we'll start. Before we start though, I would like to just mention to everyone kind of the books that we kind of need to equip ourselves so that we are able to service our public even better. Okay, so, and this is just really quickly. Number one, please, if you don't have the book already, please try to get Museum Studies, an Anthology of Context by Bettina Carbonell, who edited the publication. So it's really kind of contextualizing all of the kind of how museums started and where they are now, and it talks about ideas of decolonization and the Universal Museum and all of these things that kind of have affected museum work today, and where do we go from here. I think it's important to kind of know where we came from in order to kind of move forward together and create inclusive spaces for everyone. That is not available here. You'd have to buy that through other websites, but it is a great book to have. Another great book I urge you all to get is Making Museums Work, and this is a publication from here, and it just talks about museum management and setting up all of these exhibits. And 4 other books that I go by, and I actually have them right next to me, is Kress and Kamen's Creating Exhibition. So if you are in the university setting and you don't have this, please ask your library to procure it, because it talks about how museums, it's really teamwork and how to work as a team and who are your advocates and kind of that process. It walks you through that process. It's not super theoretical, hindi siya mahirap. It's a very easy read, and actually Smithsonian uses this as well. And they cite this book in a lot of kind of their educational modules. So it's good to have. And another thing that is good to have is the exhibit labels, an interpretive approach by Sorrell. And she is really big on the big idea, which we will talk about briefly. And there is also an ebook publication that is available now, how to develop your big idea. It's integral. It's integral for any exhibit to have your big idea kind of like squared away. Para hindi siya, para your story's not hilaw or slippery, or just, it just needs to be like a well thought out story. So she helps you process that big idea. And then another book that I have, and I don't know, I mean, I haven't used it in any of my classes, but I purchased it and I found it to be very interesting. It's Philip Hughes Exhibition Design. So all of this you can just purchase online, and I urge you all to look at these publications, because they do make it easier for you to go through that process. Okay, so what is the process of exhibition development? First, your onboarding. We'll talk about your conceptual phase, which is your topic and your big idea. The schematic phase, which is really doing the framework, setting up your storyline, and kind of figuring out, hey, what kind of media or what interpretive tools do we want to use to create our story, and what do we want to showcase with our audience. And then of course the design phase, I won't talk about that in length. And then our implementation, and which includes our build, our summative evaluation, and all of that. Okay, so first things first, your process. Before anything else, we gotta onboard our advocates. So here we have a chart, and in the center you have your exhibition. Your project owner is really either your client or your university, and this person really bats for the institutional goals. That's what they do, and they remind the team, hey, don't forget, this is our mission, this is our vision. Then you have a curator or expert in whatever exhibition you're going to create. So that would be your specialist in the field. And then another integral, all of these people are integral, but another person is your project manager. And this person usually makes sure that you are squared away with your exhibit and your timelines are good and your budget is okay. And then you have your exhibition developer and designer. This person makes sure that you have that immersive experience that brings your exhibit to the next level. Exhibitions are not in a bubble. They are part of a larger landscape, the ecology of your university, of whatever space that you're in, right? So they connect that. And then you have your designers, your graphic designers, your different types of designers that'll help kind of work with an exhibition developer. And also an important person is the education specialist. So usually you'll have a person that's a specialist, but they're not necessarily an education expert. They don't know the different modalities of teaching, let's say for kids or for young adults or whatnot. So you really need a person that has this kind of tools that know, hey, okay, this is what the visitor likes. And then the last one in your team, when you set up your exhibition, is your visitor. So I put quotations because this is really not someone that is part of your team, but someone that you have to think about at all times when you are doing your exhibition. We can't do exhibits for no reason. There has to be a specific reason, and it's usually to educate your consumer or your target audience, your public, your visitor. So we have to think, oh, what do they want, right? What do they want? And always keep them in your mind, right? So once you onboard your advocates for all of this, then you start doing your conceptual work. And again, I had told you about Beverly Sorrell and her work on labels, right? So her book is the best. Okay, so she said in the first couple of pages of her book, she talks about the big idea, and your big idea really is. I will read it out. The big idea provides an unambiguous focus for the exhibit team throughout the exhibit development process by clearly stating in one non-compound sentence the scope and purpose of your exhibition. It is the mission, right? So it is one sentence. It's a clear subject. There's an action verb and there is a consequence. Okay, so very easy. And here are some kind of, it doesn't have to be highfalutin. Right, you have a topic, let's say it's on malongs or it's on biodiversity, and then you kind of have your thesis statement. So for this one, she explains an exhibition, a zoo exhibition about a swamp. So a healthy swamp is an example of a threatened ecosystem that provides many surprising benefits to humans. It's easy, so everyone in the team can understand, and then that's when you start drawing out your objectives. It is important, again, to have your big idea very kind of in everyone's mind and these objectives so that you know what information you will give your audience, okay? So this is the Museo ng Muntinlupa, and Muntinlupa, we're all about progress. So we have a series of galleries, right, or exhibitions that focus on buhay, lakas, and talino. So this one is about, our big idea was progress and early life ways in Muntinlupa go hand in hand, right? The next one is talino, okay? And again, it's progress and work ethic go hand in hand. And then the last one is lakas, right? So resilience and progress go hand in hand. And then we have another exhibit, which is new, not open yet because we are closed, is Likas Yaman Gallery. And this really, the topic was on biodiversity, and kind of the big idea was progress, Muntinlupa's progress and biodiversity go hand in hand, right? Just simple, easy. It really just gives you what the exhibition is about, right? And then, another thing that I find interesting is goals, right? So when we do our goals for our exhibition, we have to be really clear that our goals are not self-serving. So usually when we write grants, and I know you all write grants because we all need money, it's okay, you write your institutional goal. Our aim for this is to educate the public, right? But when you do your exhibition goals, it has to be the other way around. Your visitor is queen and king. And again, once your goals are set, then it will be easier for you to create kind of what interpretive tools to use, okay? So for example, I was in a class with one of my professors, and I said, oh, this exhibition aims to paint a picture of early Filipinos through the native lens. And she said, Charisse, that's an institutional goal. It's not for the visitor, it's for you. So you have to change it up. So she said, okay, visitors will learn about the Filipino culture interpreted through a native lens rather than a Western anthropological point of view. And then there was another one that was wrong. So the exhibition will showcase current Philippine cultures. And she said, visitors, your goal should be visitors will discover that there are several cultures defined as Filipino. And for me, this was kind of difficult to work on my goals because it's always been about my institution and what I want to provide. But we have to shift it and really ask, okay, what do people want to learn? And what will they discover from what we are providing? Okay. And then as part of this phase, before you even do the design, is the front end evaluation and exhibition brief. But I do this at the same time. So really, this is your Your front-end evaluation is your survey. It's asking people, especially, for example, you're in a university setting and you have a collection, you have to check, what do the students want to see, right? And is there an audience that is untapped that you want to reach? And maybe you can do a front-end evaluation with them. This is extremely important because it will connect you to their audience, because we all have our specific kind of beliefs and ideas on how we think, what we think people want, but sometimes it's not congruent. So it's important to do this, and then you do your exhibition brief, which is just setting your tone and who your audience will actually be and all of that. And then once you get that squared away, oh, and again, looking, this is an example of our visitor information, and we like to disaggregate all of that information and really look, okay, so we want to do, let's say, an exhibit on biodiversity. Who is our audience now? And do you think it will work? And what kind of modalities will we use? So we look at the age range. So in our museum, we're 15 to 19 is the largest. We had students, they just go as groups and they're just interested. So then you can think, oh, okay, maybe we should frame our exhibition towards that, or towards a specific age range or specific like. But again, now basically it's our party now, because it is COVID and because people are online. It's very easy to do your surveys when you are conceptualizing your exhibition. Okay, and the next, I only have 15 minutes left. Okay, so next, kind of when you do your exhibition development, there is your schematic design, which is your storyline, trying to draw all of that stuff out, your bubble diagrams. And these are my ugly bubble diagrams to the right. It's really important to plot your space, and you can do chicken scratch like this. This is just like from the computer and kind of figuring out your space, and this will help you figure out how people will move through your space and what kind of interpretive tools you will use, because you cannot put something in front, let's say here, that will kind of bog down the entrance or the exit, right? Or you have to put certain things in certain areas. This kind of schematic design, you also work on your content creation. This is not one day. This is the entire team working, advocating for different things. So this will take some time. And then here you also look at kind of the modalities that you want to use for your exhibition. In Museo ng Muntinlupa, we're very much into digital, but what if you don't have the budget for digital? Then what do you do? So, it's a good time to just think about, how are you going to tell your story, and what is the most effective and cost-effective way, and what will give the audience the most impact. Okay, and then at this point, we also do our educational plan. So again, when we think about thoughtful exhibits, it's not exhibiting for exhibit's sake, right? It's you have a purpose, you have a goal, you analyze your audience, you figure out what they want, you figure out what you think you should be teaching. And yeah, so it does take some time, and it is teamwork. Okay, all right. So again, we look at the different kind of learning styles also, and visitor preference. So with this, again, it's analytics. To understanding your audience. If someone is a visual learner, an auditory learner, obviously those are different types of learners. And some are more, they like to look at the display. Some like to hear the sound and do interactive screens and gestures and all of that. There are kinesthetic learners. Kinesthetic learners. So it really depends. I would like also for all of you, if you have the chance to look at kind of the work that Smithsonian is doing, because they do have actual publications where they go through the exhibition process, and they have kind of one of the things that they use is IPOP. And when they look at visitors, they see visitors as, okay, visitors that seek ideas and seek concepts. right? And then there are visitors that seek emotional connections, visitors that seek visual language, and visitors that speak multi kind of sensory experience, okay? And you can read that, but you just go to exhibits.si.edu and it's all there. So again, it's also kind of analyzing what people really want, and especially now, okay, because when I was growing up, we didn't have the internet or we didn't have iPhones, but now this is kind of a tool that's being used, especially today because of COVID. So we need to adapt with the times, and when we do display and exhibition development, we always have to think about that. So here are just kind of a sample of some of the audiences that we have in Museo Muntinlupa. So we have this young man who, you know, he who likes to visit the museum. We have this man to the right who works with the LGU, and then we have our different audiences. Okay, here's another photo of some of our guests, the museum. Okay, and then once you set that up, your schematic design, your schematics, then you design this. Again, I know it's really quick and I'm doing it like boom boom boom, but it takes a long time. I mean, it takes a while, right? So you have to figure out kind of your branding, and branding is integral to your museum. So if you have an exhibit that is off brand, it will look funny. So you just make sure that your brand is on point, your designs are on point, and what type of elements and interactives will you use to tell your story, okay? So there are different interpretive tools to use. So you have your objects, okay? But some museums don't have a lot of objects now, right? They have ideas, they have text, they have images, right? There's also media elements. So you have your video, you have your soundscapes. You also have your interactives, which is very popular now, and you see this in a lot of science museums, children's museums in the Philippines, and a lot of these touristic kind of museums that are popping up now, kind of pseudo museums, but they're really more tourist kind of areas. They have a lot of interactives, which really get people going to visit the museum. And then there's also models and tactile elements, which is so fun. And it's actually less costly than a lot of the digital work. So if you look at museums like the Exploratorium in San Francisco, you look at my museum in BGC, they fuse a lot of these models and interactives and all of that, and it just makes for such an immersive experience, right? And in the end, it doesn't matter what you use. You just have to make sure that your story is effective, and that it translates to the audience. That's the most important. Okay, so I just wanted to kind of show one of our processes with the Museo ng Muntinlupa, and this was curated with Sarah Bandana and Kina Kwan and Vince Africa from Public School and Raymart. They're the ones that did the design work for this. You will see that we used imagery. This is one of the walls. So we used imagery. This is Muntinlupa back in the day, right? This is where the malls are now, Alabang Stock Farm. And then you will have objects. We also used objects and text. And across, we have video elements and interactive elements that we used. And what are the different interactive elements? Everett will expand because she is the digital queen. She knows all of the technology, but I'll just give you a briefer. You have touchscreen technology. So this is basically like your iPhone or your iPad. It kind of, some are in a larger scale, some are in a smaller scale. You have things like projection mapping, which I will show you later. Interactive flooring. This is also, if you've, there's all of these exhibits well before COVID, Van Gogh exhibition where it was all projection mapping on the screen, I mean on the walls, on the ceiling, on the floor, and there was gesture technology that if you touched like a certain area, then it would move differently. So you have those, you have AR, you have VR, QR technology. when we started Museo ng Muntinlupa, people weren't using that as much, but because we all have Safe app now and COVID, it's something that people are very familiar with. There are also videoscapes, soundscapes, 4D storytelling. So there are different digital interfaces that you can use for your exhibition. Okay, so this one is, I just wanted to show you a photo of kind of how we worked on our projection mapping in Museo ng Muntinlupa, and this is kind of the beginnings of that. So projection mapping is really a technology where you on a 3D space, not just a wall. You know, Australia is really big on projection mapping. They have an entire festival that just focuses on that, where they project on the opera house, on huge pieces of architecture. So if you're interested in that, you can go ahead and look at that. But this is Muntinlupa, okay? And if you look to the left, this is just the kind of the original area to be projected on. And here to the right, this is kind of us sampling the projections, right? It takes some time because you need to make sure that the points are on point, okay? And here's what it looks like now. I have a short video of our assistant curator, Precious, who will discuss the projection. The audio is not so good. Please bear with us, but you know, she has some good points.
Thank you, Charisse. I am currently in the Lakas Gallery of Museo ng Muntinlupa. One of the main highlights of the galleries of the museum is what we call the 3D projection mapping. It projects the entire landscape of Muntinlupa, including the 9 barangays, the disaster zones, and the land use plan. 3D projection mapping, also known as video mapping, is the art of using powerful projectors in conveying moving images in the surface of physical objects or spaces. This integrates a one-of-a-kind experience to the viewer. There are 4 factors to consider in creating a visual experience in projection mapping: the projection hardware, the surface, content, and mapping. This is just one of the many digital features in Museo ng Muntinlupa. We hope to have you here as soon as you open. Thank you.
Okay, so that is our assistant curator, Precious Inyosa, describing the projection mapping. We also have this technology which Everett had helped us with. So I will just show you how that works. So there is an iPad, and if you place the iPad in front of the object, information will come out about that object, more information. So it's something fun that you can do. And in the Philippines, we have so many people that are able to do this. Okay, next. All right, this is another example. So this is pre-colonial Muntinlupa. Okay. And oh, sorry, my daughter is right beside me. And then next, this is our not really robot. She's projected on here, and I'd like to just show you and let me know what you think.
I'm happy to assist you. Enjoy your stay here at the Museo ng Muntinlupa.
So beside her, there is a screen that's interactive where you can check what the exhibits are and what floors to go to for what exhibition. So she's fun. And then, oh, sorry about that. And then let's move on to the next one. Okay, our next one. So when we, you know, Bilibid is in Muntinlupa, right? And Bilibid prison. And we were thinking, how do we kind of, yes, how do we kind of tell the story about the sorry, that's my child moving my lights. Oh my, that's not working. Okay, so how do we tell the story kind of about the prisoners, and how do we evoke emotion and interpret that story? So we did it, the way it was done is that here. So someone clicks on an interface, and they can actually talk to a prisoner. Okay, and then there's actually a phone beside there, but it's not in the photo. So once they pick up the phone, then they can hear the prisoner talking from Bilibid. So that's really also very interesting. And then, okay, so what happens if one moment, what happens if you don't have kind of the budget for that digital interface? Well, there's so many other things that you can work with. Sorry, my daughter is in my space. Tala, okay, we're good. Okay, so what happens if you don't have the budget for digital interface? There's so many other things that you can do, like tactile elements. And we just did a last exhibit where, you know, we didn't really have a budget for that. So what we did is we created a biodiversity exhibition, and we didn't even really have objects. So how do you translate that? What we did is we created a space that's highly, highly immersive for children. Okay, so that's that. And we have tactile objects. So you see this leaf. So we wanted to draw what's the etymology of the barangays of Muntinlupa. Okay, so alabang. Well, if you look at these kind of leaves right here, they're movable. So you can move it back and forth, and you can flip things, so kids can be really excited by that. Maybe like neoliterate children, kids that are like 5, 7, they'd be interested in that. And here is kind of one of the information that you can find inside. Once you flip the leaf, then you will learn about kind of where alabang came from. Okay, next, this is another kind of tactile exhibition, portion of the exhibition, where you can kind of do a wheel of fortune and move things around. And again, this didn't use, it's not very expensive, but it's fun and exciting for children. This is the actual. Okay, it's not finished, so you can move the boxes around and learn about, okay, what's Nara and what's Bignay and what's Ilang Ilang and what is endemic here to the Philippines, what's native, what's introduced, and you know, it's just a fun exhibition, especially for kids. Another portion is of the exhibit is Muntinlupa has so many different species of birds. We have about 60. And obviously we don't, not obviously, but we didn't really have the budget to recreate models. Okay, so how do we tell that story about those birds? So what we did, we had a flat wall, and then we would pop up these images of birds, right? And snakes and frogs, so that it still has kind of that interaction without having the actual object. Okay, and then we also wanted to talk about the rivers, because we're right next to Laguna de Bay, and we have 11 rivers that flow into this. So how do we translate that story to children? So we were thinking of something like a pachinko game. So if you look to the right, there's the actual kind of design for that pachinko game. And this is the background. You put a ball in, and it goes through this maze and enters into Laguna de Bay and Pasig River and Manila Bay, so that people can kind of understand that process. Okay. And then here, this is just another photo of an element in our kids exhibit, the biodiversity exhibit, about plastic. And here to the left is the actual, and to the right is the design. And this is where we would shoot plastic into the recycling bins, which type of plastic fits where. So once you have that, once you design, then you build, you engage, you do your programming, and then it's always good to retool. Once you set up an exhibition, you always have to retool and think, okay, was this effective? And the way you do this is through summative evaluation and asking not just visitors, but the people that work in the museum if it actually works. And also your exit strategy. when are you closing? What is the next step? So it's always kind of thinking about that and thinking about, okay, what does the audience want next? What do we have? How can we converge? So yeah, it's an entire process, and it is very exciting and frustrating at times. And, sometimes there won't be any budget. Sometimes you have budget, and, it's just kind of a give and take, and it is teamwork. And yeah, so that's it. That's the process. And thank you very much. Again, my name is Charisse Aquino Tagade. You can email me at for NBDB if you want to know more about books. It's ctugade@nbdb.gov, and for Museo ng Muntinlupa, director at museoNgMuntinlupa.com. If you want to email Culture Aid and collaborate with our indigenous communities, it's projects@cultureaid.org. So thank you very much, and I hope to see you all soon. Okay, I will stop share. Oh, it's muted. Oh.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much, Charisse, for that very inspiring talk, and a lot of good examples for our participants on how to use the digital media for exhibitions. Now, the questions are pouring in, so I'll start. No, I particularly like how technology can be used as a form of decolonization, no? Redefining cultures through technology. Okay. And of course, we have to understand also what kind of the kind of audience now that we are conversing with in the museum setup. Okay, this is related to the question to the webinar yesterday. Professor Patrick Flores mentioned about objects breathing. No, you allow the objects to breathe. So in this particular setup using technology, how can objects breathe in this kind of digital platform? Would you recommend that even if you have a lot of objects, interesting objects, would you still hype up for digital media? Or if you don't have much objects, would you recommend doing these interactive platforms?
I think it really depends on what story you want to tell, because there are different ways that, for example, digital, there are kind of systems now where you can, if you look at an object in a vitrine and you can't touch it, then you can look at it, the aesthetic, all of that, and study it. But if you scan it and you digitize it and you put it in a platform where people can actually see the nitty-gritty, the little kind of how it was made and what kind of clay was used, let's say for a pot, then it gives you another dimension of the object. If do you know what I mean? And let's say you can't go to the university and you can't check out the object. For people that are, let's say you're in Tuguegarao or in Tawitaw, and you want to see an object from Ifugao, and you can't, if you have that digital interface, it will kind of make you look at it in another kind of point of view, right? So then the object, there's another life to that object, another kind of value that is given to that object. But also there is another value for an object when you actually see it and when you touch it. So it just depends on kind of the interface that you want to use. Not one is not better than the other. And I think if we just use different modalities at different points in time with an object, like using the same object, then it would give it life kind of in perpetuity, right? So there, I hope I answered your question.
Yeah. So, in the case of Muntinlupa Museum, do you have a lot of objects?
We actually don't, right? When we started out, it was really more of images. We did have objects that were donated to us by the Institute, the Tropical, what's this? My brain is not working right now. Tropical Medicine, the laboratory the one that does all the vaccines. Oh my gosh, I totally forgot the name, right? So they donated a whole bunch of things to us, and
RITM.
yeah, RITM. Oh my goodness, I'm sorry, RITM. So
That's
we were we had donations from that, and we had other object donations, but it was really, telling the story of Muntinlupa through imagery and text and kind of different interfaces. But now, because we did that, we have the community pouring in and donating objects. So one day we'll get like 3 banga, and then we'll get an araro, and then we have all of this photos from 100 years ago that are being donated by the community because they see the value in that, right? So a museum doesn't necessarily have to have the most beautiful objects. You can actually replicate objects. We have replicas, and yeah. So that's the way it worked. And now it's changing because now we have more objects. So how do we do our exhibitions now, right? So exciting.
all right. There's a question from Kelly Ramos, uh, from Cagayan de Oro. What
Yes.
are the possible challenges in putting up an interactive exhibition in a non-museum venue, like a traveling exhibit at a mall or a school lobby?
Oh, I'm all about that. I actually do that. So I've done it in so many, I've done one of my exhibits that traveled to a mall, like 12 different malls in the airport and different spaces. And I think that we should do it because I feel that um, sometimes people are hesitant to enter museums because it is there's still this kind of barrier to entry for some people, and that they feel that they still can't enter. So by bringing the exhibition space to places that, the mall, it will work, right? Malls are convergent, or spaces where everyone likes to converge. I don't know about now, pero baka next year, mas maraming convergence. And I think, if you are a university museum and you're thinking of expanding your audience and expanding your range and educating other individuals that might not necessarily be part of your kind of crowd, it would be very good. We just have to remember that in a space like a mall, you get all sorts of people, and they might not be used to using the interactive. So whether you do tactile objects, like wood that you turn and all of that, o pwede siyang masira. And also with your digital, pwede rin masira yun. So you just have to think as of kind of how you want to do your story and how robust you want to create your interactives, okay? Because there are cheap versions and there are more expensive versions, but they will last you longer, right? And also looking at your budget.
Okay, in relation to the budget, so most of our participants are actually from the HEI. So there's a question here on what could be your practical tips for underfunded HEIs. No? So these are government, university funded. No? So we know that there is very little money there. So what are the practical tips that you could provide for HEI museums, underfunded HEI museums, in their attempt to go digital or adopt
Okay,
this interface?
so all right. It's really about how you market yourself and package yourself. Not you, but kind of your institution, right? And also how good you are in leveraging what you have. So, for example, for us, we didn't have much images of Muntinlupa. We had one book, our centennial book, and we were like, how do we get images? Like, what do we do? So we just started posting on Facebook, like, hey, community, who has images? Let's work on images. And then people started pouring in, and then someone even did an interactive map, and you can crowdsource. It's really right now, people want to make sure that museums and educational institutions succeed. So you are not alone. You have your community, you have your university students that know how to use this interface, right? Kind of, and they all know how to code. I have a daughter who's 8 and she codes, so they can kind of help you create this digital interface. And then, if you want to go to the next level, then you can work. There's DOST, there are branding companies. There are companies that are willing to sponsor you because you're an educational institution. There are foundations that you can go to as well. There's even kind of the electronic guys. There's Samsung. They're all really willing to help, but you just have to go out there and package, and just make sure that your objectives are on point, right? Because some people are like, our aim is to blah blah blah. No, you have to just target what they want, and then then you can get more funding. And then if you don't have funding, you don't have to go digital yet. That could be kind of your goal in a few years, but you can translate your story through other means, and it's getting cool tour guides, putting yourselves at a mall, or just doing all of these things. It's like just leveraging what you have, and especially your community around you, the students. They really have kind of the power now, not so with all of this digital media.
Yeah, for a beginner museum, for instance, those museums who are in the conceptualization stage, or for those with buildings or with a physical structure but nothing inside, no, uh, perhaps the use of tablets, no, that would be easy. And then of course you have videos that you can actually use. So those are low cost. If you have a phone, then you can actually use that as well, no, for a startup museum. Interface, no. So you can do that.
Yes. And even like, with your phone, just QR code generation using Bitly and using tiny URL. I mean, you can literally stick QR codes, and that will give you the information about the building or what you intend to do with it. And these are free. And there are so many good programmers. And I'm sure Everett will attest to this. We have a ton of programmers that are doing programming work for people abroad, and they're not as expensive. The hardware will be more expensive than the actual labor, right? But
Yeah.
hardware, everyone has a phone now. So parang, it's easier now.
Mm-mm. Right. So we go to the extreme kind of digital rendition of these exhibitions, no. So they are asking about the cost, no, for a simple interactive platform.
Okay. So it really depends. If
Mm.
you want to do an app, let's say an application for your phone, there are apps as cheap as maybe like 150,000. Um, and it could go higher depending on what kind of app you use. But there are also kind of free things that you can use to just code the app, or hiring someone that's already a coder within your university setup, someone that's good with coding and creating apps. Um, we have a lot of those. There's so many computer schools, so many people are doing that. Um, that the If you're going to do projection mapping, for example, there are different types of projectors. So all of us have this normal projector na parang 15,000 or 10,000 that can project normal projection. But you have now what is called a short throw projection. So it's closer. So parang you can be like that lang, and then magpo-project na siya. Yun, mas mahal. You can go as high as 50,000, 100,000. The really high-end ones that are used for kind of larger projection work, 200,000 and up, right? But again, it really depends. I don't think, and they're robust. These projectors are robust. The one that isn't robust is your mga tablets. As we know, we change our iPhone or whatever Android every 2 years. That's how long it will last. So if you were thinking of putting all of these tablets or whatever, they will only last you 2 years, then they'll conk out. Something weird will happen to it, no matter which one you get. Ganun talaga yung kind of lifespan niya. But the software, kind of that coding, will last you in perpetuity. So if you have a contract with the person that created the code to update the coding, then you can have that, and it's transferable you can ask them if they can transfer it to your phone or to your tablet or whatnot. But that's for the interactive. There's also gesture technology, like Kinect technology, which Everett will talk about. So I don't want to kind of go over her. I know she can talk about that in depth, but it does take there is a budget to it. So if you think that you do not have the budget to keep it going, don't do it, right? Because there are so many other ways to tell a story. But it is really fun to have it. So try to get the
Yeah.
budget for it na lang.
Yeah. So for well, for me, if you cannot go digital, no, let the artifacts speak. The beauty of
Yes,
the artifacts. So let them speak. Let them breathe. Activate them.
yes.
Using other media systems. Know how to display cases or lighting systems. So that could be less costly for other HCIs.
Yes, and we have like just your museum alone, just the lighting. I mean, the way you light your objects up, it gives it a whole nother dimension, right? Lighting is so key. So yeah, it just really depends on what you have. If you have maraming objects, do you really want to put more digital? I mean, if I had as much objects as you do in your museum, I will focus on the object because
Yeah.
it's that's it. That is the king, queen, right, of your museum.
Right. So there's a comment here from Everett Miranda.
Okay.
She said, "Agree, Charisse. Let me answer the pain points of the HEI and museums right now on digital, especially the cost. No.
Yeah, she knows
So,
she
yeah,
is the queen of that. So she has all of that information.
yeah. Okay. So we have questions from the chat box. This one, question one: Since museums have to attract the public to come to them, should there be a collaboration between marketing and curatorial team when designing a museum exhibition? Should the curatorial team
Yes.
be different from the
That
marketing
for
team to avoid conflict of interest?
okay, so my tangent is marketing. So my background is actually anthropology and marketing. So I'm such a huge believer in kind of integrating all of that and making sure, because the curatorial, they have the content. The marketing will help you ensure that this is what the audience wants, right? So that's why you have the education specialist who will know about marketing. Your project manager also should know about marketing, because it's really about, you have to package, it's like a book. You have to package your book and make sure that your cover is good and that it's readable, so that it will sell. If it's just, if it's just whatever, not edited, then it won't sell, right? And that's what you want. So always when you think about your exhibit, marketing always has to be kind of, I don't know, for me, it depends on different individuals, but for me, it's really an important part to make sure that your exhibition does succeed, and translates well for the audience.
All right. So yeah, so marketing and programming are also different, no? So there's another question here. In your talk, you mentioned about branding, which
Yeah.
has a commercial application. Can you elaborate more on this? How does one begin to decide and then cultivate on the brand they want to project?
Okay, so I would suggest that all museums, all organizations have a branding strategy. This is not to say that we're selling out and being commercialized or whatnot, but it helps you better package yourself so that you are able to translate to all your stakeholders what you are about and where you are going. So if your brand is strong, you have a great logo, you have a great strategy of the steps that you're going to take for your brand. It kind of carries, it's kind of the mother of kind of how all of your exhibitions are going to look like. And it's like if McDonald's, like, the brand of McDonald's, when you buy a cheeseburger, yun na yun, right? That's it. So basically, that's what it is. It's not bagla, but it's like, there's a certain service, there's a certain kind of feeling that is evoked when they enter your specific exhibit as opposed to everyone else's exhibit. So branding is something that is developed, and you need to hire a branding strategist if you don't have your branding on point. So you have the guys at MCAD, Ateneo, their branding, Museo Kordilyera, those are brands already, and they've if you go to an exhibit in Museo Kordilyera, you know that it has a specific kind of look, a specific feeling that is evoked. So yeah, it's important to have that on point, even as a museum, as an institution.
Right. Yes. So, yes, and branding is also important. So, also the logo comes with the museum, so that's part of your branding.
Mhm.
Even the color scheme, what else? The look, no, the aesthetic look of your brand, no, your museum as a brand. All right, there's one more question here about audience, defining audience, no, from anonymous attendee. How do you arrive at an exhibit that cut across ages or audiences? No?
Um,
Of course, this is digital media is more like the millennial feel and all. So how does it cut across ages? No.
um, okay, so as kind of educators, obviously we want to hit everyone, right? That's our goal. And parang even as Pinoys, I don't know, when like looking at our grants, I always look at audiences and it's parang, okay, we want to hit this, we want to hit our 20 stakeholders, but we really cannot, right? There really is one certain group that has more kind of, that will resonate more with your exhibit than any other group, right? But there are still other groups that will still resonate with it. For example, like for our biodiversity exhibit, it really is for younger children and their child minders, which could be their parents are out, it will be their grandparents, it will be ano. So that was our focus. And because like we were thinking, oh, baka it's too kiddie. So what elements can we put for the kind of the grandparent and their generation? We would put more text for them to read. We will put imagery of kind of their their childhood. So if you look at the profile of the child, their childhood was maybe like 40 years ago. So images of that to evoke them to kind of have that connection with the exhibit, while all of the things for children are lower. So you have the movable leaves and then the things that turn around, that's lower so that kids can play with. And then you have all of this kind of like kind of heavier text and more kind of just more info, more expanded info, kind of our eye level for the adults to um to work with. And yeah, it just depends. You can put different stations in your exhibition that will kind of, kids will be more drawn to it, or adults will be more drawn to it, or specific persons with different types of can be drawn to it. And that's what it is. That's what's exciting about exhibitions, because again, your objects can speak to so many people, but how do you translate it, right? Let's say to me or to you or to what, right? So we'll have different kind of points of view, and drawing that out, whether it be the digital or your tactile or your auditory. So yeah, you just want to make sure that you have that universal design. But you still should have your audience in mind, your target audience. And again, the way you derive that is by looking at your analytics. So if you're not doing analytics now, start doing it now, especially on your FB page. It's super easy. FB page, you look at your IG page, you look at your old kind, disaggregate all of that info. And I'm sure it's a lot because yeah, and we don't, it's annoying to do, but we should do it and really analyze who is watching us.
Yes, I totally agree. Like for instance, at the Museo Cordillera, we have defined our audience. No, it should be from elementary to high school, 10 to 15 years old. No, so that's our audience. No, and then you also mentioned about analytics. So pre-pandemic, we ask our visitors to answer a survey sheet,
Yeah.
so we can actually identify who comes to your museum, who comes to the Museo Cordillera. then you can actually break that down like what you did per month, no? Who are the people who comes to the museum, no? So that's a good way of identifying who your audience are, and it also dictates the kind of digital or interactive media that you will use for your museum.
Yes, you're
All right.
totally right. Correct.
Okay. Charisse, we have a last question from Jerome Dio about exhibition design. No? So the question is more technical, but we can probably have one session on this. No? What display pedestals or cages or designs can you recommend for thematic exhibitions or moving exhibits that can be reused?
Okay.
Depende.
So if you want, okay. So when you are purchasing your, when you're designing your vitrines and your glass display cases, and if you're traveling them, you need to make sure that whatever system you use, that it is collapsible.
Mm.
Okay. Some of the glass display cases might be a little bit difficult, but other like walls, you can have that as collapsible. I know, and there are um, companies that are specifically very good in doing that. You have guys like Swedish Designs. There's another one, I forgot the name. I can give it to you if you email me. And they're used to doing trade shows. So you look at, if you want a traveling exhibit, go look at the guys that are doing trade shows, because all of those are collapsible and reusable. So they use tensile fabric and all of that. With glass display cases, I have not traveled glass display cases, so I don't really know, but I can find out for you. But I'm sure there is a way to either collapse it. But glass is different, and then you don't really want to use acrylic sometimes because it gets scratched and it becomes foggy and nakakainis. So that is a really good question. If you email me, I can give you contacts of other people, and then you can email the suppliers directly and ask them if you want to do your traveling exhibit.
Okay, thank you, Charisse. Actually, there's a lot of museum websites that has, this kind of design for collapsing modular cabinet systems, storage systems. If you have a good carpenter or a good, like the guys from the trade shows, you can actually contact them to fabricate them for you at a cheaper cost. No, so we have a very good fabricator in the
And
museum. So
also, and also, like for example, we're doing an exhibit with a museum in Gonhaden Village in Banawe with Aisan Basilio. And those guys, they do pegging system, right? It's a peg system to just like a ballet to make an ifuga. It's all pegs. So if you look at that technology and see, wow, if they can do it, then I'm sure there is a way to do like either pegging system or whatever system that will work. And you're right, there are so many, and we have a lot of very crafty people here that know how to kind of maneuver that. So very exciting.
yeah, and you can design it based on the available space that you have. You can do modular. You can actually recycle this if you want to move out from an old building to a new museum, etc. And also you can actually design it based on the space available, also the artifacts that you have. All right, so that ends our live Q&A. Therese, do you have last words for our participants?
I would just like to say thank you very much for inviting me today. It was a fun conversation, and please follow us at Museo ng Muntinlupa. We're on IG, we're on FB. Follow NBDB, National Book Development Board, on IG, FB. Follow Culture Aid on IG, FB, and Manila Collectible. All right, that's my marketing bit. Thank you very much, Doc Ekin. And yes.
Thank you so much for
Thank
spending the
you.
morning with us. If you want
Thank
to
you.
stand by for Everett's talk, please stay.
Great.
Right.
I will.
Okay. So thank you, Therese. So we now go to our second speaker. We had her on our level 1 last year on using digital media on museum exhibitions. So we welcome Everett Chris Miranda. Um, she she's a graduate of BA in Commerce, bachelor's degree in Commerce, major in Marketing Management at De La Salle University. Then she pursued her master's degree in Information Management at Ateneo de Manila University's Institute of Technology and Information. She started her career in telecommunications in product management, and after 6 years in the industry, she joined GMA News Media Incorporated. This is the digital arm and future-proofing agent of GMA Network since 2005 for business development. Currently, she is the Senior Vice President for NMI Solutions. Previously, this was Digify, a techno-creative lab which specializes in digital marketing, software development, and digital innovation. She also supervised technology integration in different local museums or exhibitions, no, including Museo Kordilyera and other known museums elsewhere. Okay, so without further ado, we would like to welcome Everett to give a talk on using interactive media platforms for your exhibitions.
Thank you for the introduction, Doc Ikin. Allow me to share my presentation. And thank you for that. Okay. So, kindly hold on. Okay, 4 months ago, actually, I spoke to all of you. I gave a talk in the level one, and I covered. I mentioned to you that there's an accelerated shift to digital of the different industry sectors, including the museum. I talk about tools and systems that you can use for on-site, online. I also covered the infrastructure that you need from physical to cloud. I remember about the tools that I mentioned. I also discussed to you the projection mapping setup, the use of QR code, etc. And I think I also tackled a bit on data analytics, specifically the use of Google Analytics. Kindly hold on. Okay. Sorry. Can you guys see my screen? Can I get a thumbs up? Okay. All right. Okay. So let me start. Thank you. So let me start my the lesson by asking you this question. Can I see an answer from the using the QA box here? Who among you currently operate or manage a social media page aside from Charisse? She mentioned about Museo Muntinlupa Museum. You have your Facebook. Who else is managing their own social media page? Okay. All right. My next question, thank you. All right. Who among you currently operate or manage a website? Okay, thank you. All right. Okay. Next question. Who among you, aside from Doc Ikin and the team, conducted a webinar in the past 6 months? Siyempre, Doc Ikin, no? You have a regular webinar.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that answer. Actually, the digital platform is actually continuously evolving in a faster pace than expected. So it is critical that we set the basics right. And my lesson or my topic today is actually aims to provide you actionable skills and insights so that you can do that as part of the next step. The reason for covering this part of the lesson is because I want to see the museum actually take advantage of the digital space. So when I talk about digital platform, I talk about spaces where you can talk or communicate to your potential visitors or audience through electronic means. And I think on the right side, you can find here the top platforms. You can recognize the logos, right? So you can see your IG, Snapchat, LinkedIn. Let me remove my, okay. You have Pinterest, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube, of course. Um, these are top platforms. It means they are also owned by third party, right? So my first part of my topic today is you can also have your own home or your own virtual space, right? But I know there are challenges, but I would like to cover that in the next slides in doing this. No? So when you talk about having your own home, the first part of the topic is building your own virtual space through a mobile responsive site, most commonly website, but I will try to tag it as mobile responsive. Okay, while mobile responsive, based on the data, even most of the people are at home. 70% to 80% use their mobile to actually access the web. So we have to make sure it fits the small screen. All right. So allow me to go through some of the sites that I'm sure you also monitor online. So the British Museum. This is the index page or the home page. Okay. As we go through the website, I want you to look at it and see the components. This is Louvre Museum. Okay. This is, I think, yeah, Vatican Museum. This is National Museum of Natural History. Let me scroll it. Okay. We have here, uh, sorry, I cannot see it. The Met Museum in New York. And I'm sure a lot of the previous speakers have covered about content. So I'm going to cover the technology behind. So this is Met of Manila. We're also working with them right now for another project. Okay. So I know you also want to have your own digital home, something like this, but you are faced with these challenges. I've heard this several times earlier. There's reduced budget, there's reduced spending. Sometimes you don't even have funds, right? There's cost involved for hardware and software. When you say hardware, these are the machines. The software is about the application. And I know your role in the museum is to collect, preserve, interpret, and actually curate. It's not in your DNA to actually understand technology. So there's reluctance also to change perspective to actually bring something off-site or something on-site to online. And because of that reluctance, there's also reluctance to upskill. Okay, but we will try to address that slowly. And because we're going to digital, we have to stand out because there's a lot of content that your audience can find online. So you really have to bring them to you, to your home. Okay. But you have to look at this as an opportunity. If you have something online, you are expanding your audience. There's global presence. In fact, you can also get support. If you go global, you can also expand the support that you'll be needing. Okay. When I scanned previously the websites, there are four components that are important in an online site for your own home. Explore, learn, visit, shop. Explore, they can explore about the collections online. It could be limited. You can only expose a few. Learn, we can integrate here webinars and explore also. We can have their 3D museum on site. Visit, we can have the booking system here wherein instead of just going to the museum, it could be scheduled by a group or by a single person, and you can do the booking online. And shop, because if you want to sell books or you want to sell some merchandise from your museum, you can also do this online. So you have to consider this in the customer journey within your site. Okay. when I talk about site or website, I want to tackle a bit, no, this is not too technical. I want to tackle about the different layers of a site. So when I say user interface layer, others also call this as front end. What you see the design, you see the branding, you see the interactivity. There are buttons that lead you to next pages. That's your UI, user interface, or the front end of the web. Okay, now I'm going to mention to you some tools that I use for the design. Definitely, Adobe actually comes with a license. So you can actually explore Canva, that's free, Figma, that's also free. You can use this for the user interface at the same time, the user flow within a site. Okay. Second, content management system. Most of you have heard about this. This is what you use when you're on your desktop, on your phone. You manage something like your Facebook page. It's still considered a content management system. When you upload your article, your photos, your videos, but the CMS can also contain the collected data of your visitors if there is a registration online. Through the CMS also, the content management system, you can define the role or access that you can give to your team, to the members of the team, depending on their role, right? So when I talk about CMS, there are three popular CMS: WordPress, Drupal, Joomla. Okay, they are CMS they are already built built that this is already built. When you upload or your content, they can already reflect something on the user interface. So it's a content management system and it's free. Okay. Once you have this, the application you put together, you have to host it somewhere, the container. I talk about infrastructure before. It's a server, it's a physical machine. Then I said, oh, you can move it to cloud. So we need something to host this application. You need the server and the bandwidth. And of course, when you want to put up your own home, your virtual home, you have to register a domain name. And it ranges from $35 to $50 per year as part of the investment. Anyway, that's part of your branding, so that when your customer or your audience would want to visit your site, they just type in on the URL the domain name. Okay, let me remove first the okay. Now in the next 12 minutes, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna show you how we created M Museum, a website using WordPress. Okay. I want you to actually look at your team right now. Charisse covered this earlier, that there are some members of the team that you can actually use and ask them to help you build the site. You have your project manager, you have your designers who can take care of the UI, and then some technical people who understand the site. Because what I'm going to show you is kind of a walkthrough, a simplified way of building your website. I hope you like. I hope you'll get something out of it. Okay, so let me play this video. So I'm going to use WordPress. So first you have to install. So of course you have the site title. So the museum that I'm building is a museum. So again, this is a free tool. Okay. In WordPress, there are available themes that you can choose for free. So you just type museum and then I chose Museo. Okay, this is the template of Museo. So what I'm gonna do now is I have a design and I'm gonna publish it or put it in the CMS to actually design the front end. Okay, so that will be the next step. I try to make it shorter for this session. So this is your design. So we will actually replicate that and bring it online. So you can actually upload your logo. Let's say this is my sample logo, a museum. and then you upload your favcon icon. Okay. Now I'm gonna create the menu, the one that you see on the navigation bar. So I'm putting here home, learn, discover, or explore. We can use that. Visit, as mentioned earlier. And we can also have shop. Like later, I'll add a shop. Okay. Now I'm creating a sidebar to put the opening times on the right side, on the lower right side. So I just have to select sidebar using this dashboard. Again, I'm using WordPress right now. And WordPress, you don't have to pay for the hosting because it comes with, let me check, 3 gig of storage. And you can also have free domain, except that ang lagay niya wordpress.com/Museo Kordilyera. That will be the domain name. But you can buy separately as mentioned. Now I'm putting here the banner right after the navigation. Yeah. There you go. And then the strip of text. Sorry if it's moving fast. Let me slow down. Okay, we are now copying this from your UI, user interface designs, to the actual site. Okay. And now we will also add the text. Yeah. So it means the text that I put here, you can change this anytime. I call it dynamic. If you need to update something, you can also do that. Okay, now we will put all of these 3 sections under the text. So when they click, okay, this one, that image, okay. This is also we can also update it via CMS. We'll just use a placeholder text, a lorem ipsum. Maybe you see that sometimes. It's just a placeholder text. Okay. Whenever you click publish, it now reflects to the front end of the website. Okay. We're halfway through. The reason I'm doing this, I'm sharing this lesson with you guys. Right after the first topic that I had last November, I think a few people reached out to me, and again, the pain point was cost. And they want to be present in the digital, of course, in the digital platform, aside from social media. They asked me, how can I put things together if I don't have a budget? I really want to help you guys, but we just don't have enough time to do that. So I decided to actually put together this walkthrough to actually encourage you to build your site. And I just want to express that this is not really difficult. But you have to devote time in studying a bit. Maybe a 5-day study would do. You just have to bring a team with you and look at it. Yeah. So hopefully after this, most of you will attempt to build their own website using WordPress. But again, this is just basic. There are more sexy features that we can put. But right now, it's good that if you will have a presence online. Okay. So we're now completing the other 2 images. So we're actually below the fold of the site. We can also add recent posts or articles. Earlier, I chose the Museo theme, but there are other themes that you can also use. So I just leave it to you. Um, Make sure that's free. But there are some plugins in WordPress that actually comes with one-time payment. Okay. Let me move it. Okay. Okay. The lower the this is the footer section below your homepage, and we are now creating the content for each column of the footer. Usually on the footer you'll find the address and the contact number. You can also have the subscribe to a newsletter if you have. Um, you can also have your privacy policy, etc. And the opening times is recommended to put here. On the third column, you can also put whatever the person can see on the navigation. You can replicate it on the column 3. It's same as the navigation bar. Okay. I'm doing a time check, so I'll just fast forward the video. Okay. Now we can also add events calendar again using this plugin. It's free. So what's the purpose of this? If your visitor check your website, they can also see the events for events that will happen in your museum on site. So we can actually put the schedule, the time, date, the venue. So you can actually have a 1-month calendar or 3 months. So it's up to you. Okay, I'll just move. Okay, learn. Okay, fast forward ko na lang. Okay, now this time, because this is WordPress, I'm gonna integrate the shop button. Again, this is interesting because you can actually, this is revenue for you guys. You can sell merchandise from the museums. So it's also easy to set up. Okay, the difference this time, you can, with a shop kasi, it requires you to build your products. So if you have your file in an Excel, you just convert it to CSV and then you upload that file. So that's one-time upload and it will actually show the details of the products. Okay. So this is what I'm gonna do. So add the products. Choose a file that contains your products. There you go. And now when you run it, you sync it to your CMS. It will now be reflected in your front end, the products. There you go. Okay. Now, on the payment option, there's a built-in payment gateway. Usually they have PayPal, but if you want to do an integration with local payment, that's a different story that requires an integration, but maybe additional 3 to 5 days to do the integration, but that's kind of technical. But you can use the available payment gateway like PayPal that actually facilitates payment via credit card or debit card. Now I'm adding here the calendar for booking. So let's say you want your guests to schedule first via online their visit to the site. They can use this facility online. Especially now during pandemic, you really have to manage the volume who will visit your site. Okay. Time check. Okay, I have a few minutes. All right. So anyway, I'll just fast forward. Once the person scheduled a visit, it will be reflected in the calendar in your CMS. So you would know who will be coming over to your place. Okay. So question. Do you have a little confidence to build your website? after seeing this video? Thank you, Doc Ikian. How about the rest? Yeah. Again, you have to review the members of your team. And if they have IT IQ, you can actually ask them to put it together for you. Even those people managing your social media pages, um, they can be trained, or they can just watch the video. And I'm also free. If you want to reach out to me, just email solutions@gmail.com. I can answer the question. We can even have a call with our team to assist you. So anyway, moving to the next slide, these are other suggested platform for shopping. I know parang this is like level 3, no? But then I'm just showing you that there's Shopify, Magento, OpenCart. If you want to integrate payment. Okay. I also didn't show you. Okay, in the Learn section, I didn't add the webinar, but you can actually put a link to your Zoom webinar from that page. So just to share with you some statistics, no, webinar is a marketing favorite. What industries produce the most number of webinars? When you look at education, travel and tourism, and not profit, that's a combination of 13%. And they ask how many webinars do industry produce yearly. You can see the numbers here, but maybe at the beginning you can actually have an average of 4 times a year, like quarterly, and you really have to plan it well. And there is some information also shared by GoToWebinar that the best time to promote webinar is between 8 a.m. to 11, and people do register to webinars on Tuesdays. And the percentage now of the registrations happen a week before. So people really procrastinate in the registration. What day do people refer to attend webinars? Thursdays. And oops. And what time attracts the most registrants? So it's between 11 a.m. 11 a.m. is a good time, and 1 to 2 p.m. is also a good time to hold a webinar. Okay, so I won't discuss the webinar with you guys, but um, you can use Zoom like this. No, this is a paid webinar, but there are also other tools. But I'm comfortable in using Zoom actually. Now, when you want to put up a webinar, you have to consider the right equipment, the setup based on the webinar type. We have taped, let's say it's pre-recorded, you just submit it to the organizer. We have live like this. It could also be hybrid. There's tape and there's live. But what's tricky about live, like what we actually organized recently, this is for
Artist.
Metropolitan Museum. Okay,
For today's program,
it's kind of grainy. Anyway, what's tricky about live is when the organizer will want to put the person within a frame. Now that's tricky because there's a different setup. We actually use a switcher to operate this. And so especially like this, there's a speaker, there's a slideshow. So it's also important that you do a tech run before the actual webinar. And sometimes when a person gets disconnected during live, it will actually distort the framing. So that's kind of tricky for a live with a frame. Okay. So, okay. I in the explore section, I also didn't show you during the development of the site is having a virtual 3D museum walkthrough, and you can actually use Matterport. I mentioned this in lesson 1. I don't know if you guys have explored it, but you can check Matterport. This is our output in the recent Philippine Arts Award last December. Let me just play this video. Okay, so we use a 360 camera to capture the venue. Later, I'll show you the site of Matterport. The buttons that you see here, they call it Matter tags. It's your hotspot, where it's your point of interest. When you put a Matter tag, it could be you can upload a photo or an image. You can upload a URL that will link out to a site when they click on it online. It could also be an audio. Okay, so if you want to visit the site, let me stop sharing and share with you. Thank you, Dokikin, for the extension. Okay, so you go to Matterport and you capture a space as mentioned to you, use a 360 camera. Then you customize it. You just upload, and when you say customize, you just put the matter tag. So you go to customize. Definitely you have to register. There are some samples here that you can play with. There, it's here, the 3D space. There. I will try to edit. My internet is okay. Oops. Anyway. Sometimes, yeah. Anyway, so you just go to the site. I advise that you try to register. Again, this is free for one virtual space. And if you want to publish it on your website, then you have to subscribe. So how much is the subscription? That's 500 pesos per month. But that 500 pesos per month can actually will allow you to publish it, put it on your website. Second, it will allow you to create up to 5 spaces. So I think that's already cost efficient. Okay, let me go back to my slide again. So my question, do you think your team can now create the virtual tour? Yes or no? Raise a hand, please. Mukha ba siyang ano, it seems difficult ba? So I'm giving you all the tools that you can actually play with even after the webinar. Okay. Now the second part, but this is shorter than the first one. Just give me a few minutes. The second part is about building your audience. Charisse mentioned this and Doc Eakin earlier. And when you talk about digital media, it means capturing an audience. And in the second part, I want to give you some tips lang on how will you capture your audience. But first, I don't know if I can get the answer here. No, I want to see and ask you, to which generation do you belong? Are you builders, baby boomers, Gen X, Gen Y, Z, or A? Okay, see Gen Y, these are also the millennials. Okay. I think Doc Eakin mentioned that the audience of MK, of Museo Kordilyera, belong to Gen A. So they were born in year 2005 to 2015. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. At least you were able to identify your audience, no? Anyway, but I want to focus on these two generations, the Generation Y, or the millennials, and the Generation Z. Kasi si Gen Y and millennials, they're tech savvy. Si Gen Z are more tech innate. At a young age, they're already exposed to the digital world. They know siguro when they were born, no, they know how to touch ano na play with an iPad, no. So that's their ano it's already part of their lifestyle to be really to be using their phones, etc. No. Anyway, to give you a comparison, no, a tech savvy, they can actually have two screens at the once. So maybe I'm tech savvy. I have my phone, I have my laptop. Pero Gen Z kasi multiple media at the time, 5 screens. Sometimes they also listen to their Spotify on a separate Alexa or something. So 5 screens at once din yan. Involving video and audio. Okay. With Gen Y or millennials, you have to understand that they communicate with text, but the Gen Z is more on images, the nice visuals that they can find on your site, on your Facebook, on your Instagram. Gen Y are more curators or sharers, and but the Gen Z, they actually they create content. They even collaborate as a group. No, Gen Y are now focused. They pursue what they want, especially in things that make them feel good. They prefer the instant gratification. Maybe you can consider this in your digital plan. The Gen Z, they anticipate changes in technology, in everything. So they may delay gratification. The Gen Y are more optimists. Gen Z are more realists, which means optimists are more on focus on emotion. So maybe when you curate objects or collection, it has to actually penetrate their emotion. It has something to do with experience. The realists are more objective. They just look at it like a thing or like with an unbiased judgment. Anyway, the bottom line of sharing this is you have to know your audience. Actually, this is a general split of the market in terms of the marketing and understanding of the generation. But within this segment, you can still identify sub-segment, lifestyle seeker, homemakers, etc. So you guys would know better. And I agree with Charisse by actually starting with your analytics. You can actually understand and qualify your target market. Therefore, after that, you can actually build your digital plan. Okay. Because of limited budget, I'm talking about how to capture your audience. Because of limited budget, of course, you want to target your audience organically. What do I mean by that? Getting your audience to come to you naturally over time without actually spending money or paying for paid links, right? So there are four things that we can do for free. Okay. Search engine optimization, Google My Business, direct traffic, and reviews. So I'll just cover quickly. Give me 5 more minutes, Doc Ikin. When I talk about search engine optimization, it is actually increasing the amount of visitors to your site by obtaining a higher ranking placement in the search engine. When you Google something, right? If you appear on the top search right after the ads kasi are paid, the ad section. If you hit that part, you have a good SEO. And then if you have keywords that are relevant and more unique, you get to the top spot. And there are strategies to actually to achieve a good SEO. Your URL structure, domain name, the linking, especially if you have like partnership outside and they will link it to your site. Make sure if you have a partnership, ask them to link your Facebook, link it out to your Facebook or to your site. There are a lot of things. This is another lesson that I'm not gonna cover today. Google My Business. Oh, I tried this. When I search Museo Kordilyera, is there knowledge panel claimed? Yes, it is. You can find here Museo Kordilyera on the right side with all the information. It actually increases visibility and also establish the authority of that entity of Museo Cordillera. So this is good. I encourage you also to do this. This is free. You just have to search it on Google and make sure you update the content on your knowledge panel. Okay. Organic marketing, direct traffic. This is visit straight to your site. When they click on a link on the email that you send, it goes directly to your site. When they scan a QR, it directs to your site. When they type the actual URL, they type the actual domain on the URL, it directs to your site. When you have a chat and you just send your site, it's all direct. And when you activate your Google Analytics, you can see how much of the traffic was generated from the direct access. So that's the third way of actually building traffic going to your site. Okay, and the fourth one is reviews. It is well known, documented fact that if you have more positive reviews on Google or Facebook, like the stars and ano ba yun? Sa Facebook naman, you have to rate your post or something or even your page. Potential visitors are more likely to check on you. So if you can just build this organically, you can actually build your audience. And this is my last slide because I want to give more time to the Q&A. I think we only have 20 minutes, so I'll end my topic here. Thank you so much. If you have questions, you can email at solutions@gma.nmi.com. Thank you so much. Miss Lucky,
You
can you?
ever. All right. Do you have some last words for our participants who are quite excited about this
Oh, okay.
quality?
Yeah, first I'd like to thank Doc Ikin, UP Baguio, and Museo Kordilyera for the invitation. I really enjoy sharing the secrets, right? And actually, I always understand the pain point. Sabi ko nga, it's really the cost. But we want to help you to actually make your organization be seen on digital. And do not be overwhelmed. Do not be intimidated. That's possible. You can just try it. You just have to change perspective. Yeah, that's it, Doc Ikin. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Everett. I'm so excited. I want to do everything already. Okay, so we go to the questions from an anonymous attendee. Hi, Miss Everett. Can you suggest any website or platform to use for 3D sculpture show?
Previous capture. This is like tape,
Sculpture.
a 3D
Sculpture.
capture. Oh yeah, I recommend Matterport. Yeah, the
Okay.
one that I saw, I showed you guys. Yes. So
Yeah.
again, it's free if you have one virtual space. Okay, you invest on a 360 camera. I think if you guys have your iPhone, you can capture a 360 na medyo steady lang with all the ano. And then you download it, you upload it to Matterport, and then you create the Matter tags. And I challenge everyone, you should be doing that. Maybe you can show your output next time. It's very easy.
Actually, that's supposed to be the level 3 output.
Ah, okay, okay.
Designing a museum website and exhibition design, and then
Yes,
of
yes.
course the designing a museum website for themselves. Because the level 2 has the logo, branding, etc. So the level 3 should be a good one. All right.
Okay, okay.
Question from Kelly Ramos from Cagayan de Oro. Museum web regarding the museum WordPress website, can this be linked to university website?
Yes, you can. So if you use the CMS and then example, it's a logo, it's an image, and then you can just put the URL to link it to the other website.
Okay.
So that's possible.
Yeah. All right. So this one from YouTube. How much time should social media marketing take per week? Is there such thing as over exposure on media?
Oh, okay. I don't have the stats. How much? Can I share that with you? I'll share it with through Doc Ekin. I'll just have the actual stats shared with you. But you know what? We're also managing a CSR, social media, the Facebook of a CSR, and we also have scheduled on when to post, what time, and what kind of content. And all of this were generated from the analytics that we monitor. Because syempre, if you want to spend a lot of time, make it cost efficient, make it intentional, right? So I can share that with you as a baseline. I can share the stats with you as a baseline, but the moving forward, you have to know if your market is effective during the baseline that I'll be giving you. Yeah.
Okay. So in your talk, we discussed so many things, no, about the practical things of doing a museum's website at low cost, and then your shop, etc., marketing, etc., are all in one. You don't have to spend so much, no. So that's a very good advice for our startup museums, especially for the HEIs now listening to us. Okay, I'll go to the extreme. So what about if you have funds for a museum website or for a different digital platform? How do you proceed with this?
Okay, I just showed you cassette basics, right? The essentials. There are some designs. Let's say you have to add a lot of collections, right? You have to do the scanning. So let's say, paano ba yun? The scanning of the document, you have to invest on that. Uh, Capturing the painting as sculpture and actually putting AR, or let's say when a person scans this and then there's an AR, that's the next level. That's going to be costly because you are creating 3D, and the 3D is really parang from scratch siya. You do the 3D modeling. Um, Other expense, okay. If if the infrastructure will grow, let's say you have a big number of visits na, and you have to increase the capacity, it's no longer free. So you get to that next level. What else? The integration. I mentioned to you on the shop, right? When you integrate it with logistics, when you integrate it with payment gateway, that becomes a little expensive because there you need a developer to do that. Um, and of course, you have to pay the people who will manage the content. Unless it's part of your team, the creation of the content is also expensive. Yeah, I think that's the bulk of it.
Oh, right, Everett. So, in the museum website, the ones you mentioned, you also do curatorial work there, right?
Mm-hmm.
You also do curation on what you want to include, what images you put. No, so uh, i- i- uh, is this a mirror image of the ones you have in the museum to your website? Or do they have to be in totality a reflection of what you have in the museum and on the website? How much can you reveal or how much can you conceal over the website?
Okay, I suggest not a mirror. It can actually be a portion of what you will see. Actually, when you're in the museum, it's more experiential, but when you're on site, it's more visual. So my suggestion, you can only put 30 to 40% of what they see, that what they will see on the museum. So parang ano lang siya, parang preliminary. But to explore more, you drive them to visit your site. That's why we're putting here the booking schedule, uh, the booking facility. So to see more, you drive them. Now on the virtual tour, because actually what we render is the whole museum eh. It could be just a space, di ba?
Yeah,
Um,
so 30 to 40%. No, so what about if you're an old museum and you want to use the website as an archive for previous exhibitions, your
mhm.
collections? How would you still stick to 30 to 40%?
Okay, it depends, Miss Doc Ekin. If you don't have it anymore on site, you can actually upload everything there.
Mm-hmm.
So you're actually now creating naman kasi there's potential monetization also if you can increase your visits to the site. Like I haven't expanded on it. Like if you have a huge traffic or page views to the site, it could actually be a part of a revenue stream for the museum. Like parang you can have ads na sponsorship, right? But you have no choice eh. There, I think that's the best platform where you can put your archive. So you're creating kasi long tail content eh, yung mga previous. Especially kung maliit lang naman yung space in the museum. So it's logical to put it on digital, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Is this the future of museums now to go on digital?
I think so. Yes, definitely it will be the future. But I'm not saying that there's no value to have the on site. Actually, it must work together. So this is
Mm-hmm.
just a preliminary discovery, but
Mm-hmm.
the total experiences will be on your site. So use this as your marketing tool. And we really don't know if our movements will be until when our movements will be limited. It might be prolonged because of the situation, especially in the Philippines. No? And if you will notice, even the big museums abroad globally are also present online. So what's the hesitation?
Yeah.
So yeah.
And for now, at this current situation, a lot of the HI museums are closed.
Mhm.
Some are slowly opening, no? So would you advise them to optimize the use of this platform?
I still recommend, especially let's say I'll be going, let's say, for a short trip in South Luzon, and I want to explore the museums. That's an opportunity to actually travel. At least I have a way to find out the state of the museums, whether it's available, what can I see. So the only way that I can get that information is through the site. So maybe you can put up something, and then of course encourage them to come to the place. I'm okay with Facebook. The difference here is, you remember in my terminology kasi, the Facebook is kasi, it's a third party platform. You don't own the audience. But if it's
Mhm.
on your site, you own them. You can
Mm.
actually build your database through the website.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Okay, there's a question here. Is outreach an important part of social media marketing, that is connect with other influencers or museum sites in your industry via the social media? Will this increase our internet traffic?
Using the influencer,
Yeah. Oh,
definitely.
are you sure?
Definitely. Yes. The influencer marketing, yes. Yes. It's different now.
Oh, so there's a lot of
Sorry, did
social
I get?
media influence. Yeah, this is the question. Is outreach an important part of social media marketing?
Oh, sorry, outreach. I thought it's the use of the influencer marketing.
Yeah, which is the other one is connecting with other influences or museum sites in your industry via social media. Will this increase internet traffic?
The outreach. Tama ba? Did I get
Yeah,
it right? The outreach.
yes,
The outreach.
outreach, connecting with influencers or other museum
Yeah.
sites.
Actually, the key there is if the use of influencers. Whatever it is, but you use the influencers, is gonna really drive traffic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I'm still very traditional. I don't know. There's a lot of influencers coming to our museum. So anyway, hindi ko sila kilala. So I'm still the conventional type. Anyway, there's a question here about for instance, how do you take advantage of this digital space when your universities are closed, no, in terms of pedagogy, no, for HEIs. So
Okay. Yeah.
how do you like for instance migrate from the classroom and then eventually to your museum website as a complement for pedagogy? Do you put everything there, or do you know use it as a vehicle for learning in others?
Actually, one purpose of the museums, right, is to actually educate. So, if you want to shift the content towards learning, it could also be like, let's say you have explore learn. It could be 60/40 if you have limited exploration and explore collections available for exploration. So you can shift to learning. So
Mm-hmm.
your site could be focused more on learning. You can have their let's say even without the webinar or videos, let's say content. I don't know the exact topic, but you can actually have like 70% on learning, 30% on other features of the museum. So you can also do that. Again, what I'm presenting to you may not be the same for everyone, especially the use of platform. I'll just go back a bit. Remember I showed you the different logos, right? Of course, you're not gonna put something on Snapchat, right? So I'm just presenting to you what actually are available platforms, but it's up to you, and it depends on your audience. It depends on your content. So you really have to plan with your team and monitor the numbers. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Very interesting, no, the presentation, and this is actually what we need for the HEIs now, no. So we encounter a lot of our colleagues from different museums, no, walang pondo, walang tao, ano pang wala, building, no. So can you actually build a museum website without a building, just the collection?
Yes, you can.
Mhm.
Yes, you can. So, yan naman shift natin. If you're focused on the collection, so that's 70% collection.
Right.
There's no building, right? Even the address could be virtual, right? To be determined. So we can do that. Yeah.
I think in the level two, there's about 35% of our participants who are in the stage of conceptualizing the museum without a
Mm-hmm.
physical building. So you can, if you don't have funds yet, you can actually explore the digital platform, right?
Yes.
Okay, so it's already 12.
Oh
Do you
yeah.
have some last words and advice for our participants?
Okay.
Let's check if there
Yes.
are more questions. Okay,
Actually,
more questions from Everett.
questions. Yeah.
Okay, from
Um,
Alicia Esguerra. Hi, Ma'am Everett. Is it advisable to share the password to WordPress or any platform to other members of the team so that there will be a collaboration on the maintenance of the website? Or is there any other way where a number of people can work collaboratively on the content management site?
okay. My suggestion, the team should maintain it. There, if you are the super admin, you can assign the role and access, which means they can only access, let's say, uploading of content. Do not share the main or the super admin password. Yeah.
Okay. From Jenny Joy Napolitano, she would like to know the database used by WordPress. Is it Miss?
MySQL, yes.
Yeah.
MySQL.
Oh,
MySQL or MariaDB. Yeah.
all right.
Actually, I cut the video at the start kasi I can send a full video. There's a creation of database, how you put
Mm.
together your database before I went to installation of the WordPress. And yeah, I just cut the video.
Okay. There's a question from Anita Sornito from Mindanao. Can we track who visited the museum in a day? Is there an application on this, like tracking system as to who visited, utilize the museum website in a specific real time?
Okay, there are two things. You can track the visits based. Okay, if you're talking about the online museum, not the
Mm.
on-site. If you're tracking the museum online, you can actually check the number of visits unique. But this is based on the IP address because there's no registration, right? But if you want to identify the person, then it will require you to actually put up a registration on the site para you know how many naman registered. Kasi
Mm.
because in when we build the site, I didn't put it there, but you can just put the tags kasi of Google Analytics so that you can track. Pero pag gusto mo malaman the exact name, it has to be a registration. Okay.
There's a curious question here from YouTube. How do you generate your QR code? Is it advisable to use in museums?
Yes, as mentioned by Cherise, you can search free QR code generator. So what's the purpose of that? Okay,
Mhm.
two things. It's either I scan and then you want to direct them to your website, or I scan, then it is your parang virtual tour guide.
Mhm.
So when they scan it, basta as long as they have internet, it goes to a page, maybe part of your site that's not that could also be public. Tapos it tells about the painting, about the sculpture, about the collection without an actual tour guide. So that's the purpose of the QR code. So you can actually print QR code for every
Mm.
setup or for every collection. So that's the purpose of that. And then maybe it actually drives also page views to your site because it lands to your site. Yeah.
Mhm.
Important kasi the traffic. Eventually you can use that.
You can generate this online, no, yung QR code.
Yes. And then when you generate that, tas tatanungin ka, where do I land this? So you
Mm.
type in your www.museocordillera.edu.ph. Yeah.
Okay. They also do that for tracking visitors kunyari sa COVID, right? Yung track.
Yes. We did a
Okay,
contact tracing app actually.
contact tracing. All right. From Alicia Esguera, is it possible to share with us the video you presented, Ma'am Ever? Thank you so much.
Sure, I have a full video, a longer one, 20 minutes.
Okay,
Okay.
so thank you for that. All right, so do you have some last words, Everett, for our participants all over? We're very enthusiastic. Okay, last question. Okay, Karanina Carrera. This is about COVID contact tracing app for museums. What is recommended app and why?
Okay, contact tracing and para sa iniisip ko if there's something free can I get back to you? I don't have a free tool for COVID contact tracing. Kasi the one that we did, we built it for a company. Yes.
Mhm.
So, pwede ganito. Actually, this is what you do. When they enter, again, QR code, then leads to a landing page. Okay. If you don't have a site, this is the cheapest one, Google Form.
Yeah,
So, QR code, you scan, tapos redirects to a Google Form, and then you fill up. That's free. And the
yeah,
Google Form, you just have a Gmail account, and then you open the database in an Excel file. You have your contact tracing app. Okay.
fantastic. No, at no cost, no?
No cost at all.
Okay, thank you so
Okay.
much for that very interesting talk, Everett. Would you like to say last words for our participants?
Okay. This is already a call to action. We have to move. You have to change perspective again. Explore all free tools available for you guys. You have to upskill, and upskilling is no longer impossible. You have a lot of videos that you can watch. Um, and if ever you have questions, you can course to Doc Eken, or you can reach me through solutions@gmailnmi.com. We are happy to converse with you. So, yep, that's it. Doc Eken, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much for spending your morning with us. Thank you also to Charisse. That connects the two
Cherise.
back-to-back lectures, no, on how you can put together inexpensive way of digital platform. Okay,
Okay.
thank you so much, Everett. Hope to see you again in level three. I hope
I'll see you
closely.
in Baguio, Doc Eken.
Oh, please come. Okay. Thank you so much,
Okay, thank you
Everett.
so much. Bye. God
Okay,
bless.
thank you. So for our participants, we have a feedback form at the end of this chat. So please try to answer that one to get a certificate of attendance for today's webinar. And then tomorrow, we will have, tomorrow is Saturday, wala na pala, no? So we will have week 5, our last session for this 2-month training on online museum management training on museum education and how you can build your museum as a tourism and creativity site, no? For that's for next week. We will have Dr. Ethel Villafranca and Mea C, and hopefully Ma'am um, Cecile de la Paz from UP Diliman can also join us next week. Okay, so if you have questions and other queries, please don't hesitate to call us, email, or send us a message on our FBMK page. Okay, thank you very much and have a good lunch and have a good day, everyone. Bye.